This is what I consider to be the perfect plinker. It's a suppressed MP5 chambered in 22, and it's a whole lot of fun. When choosing the right gun for you, most applications revolve around some sort of tactical purpose, like a concealed carry or home defense, or what other big igloo sorts of scenarios you can dream in your head. Whereas a plinker, you really focus on fun. The perfect plinker should be accessible to everyone. That means it's cheap because not everybody has loads of cash to spend on guns. So that pretty much means a 22. Cheap gun, cheap ammo. 22 is just a great round for plinking. That's why it's so iconic. Everybody had a 1022 growing up, and I'll talk about the 1022 later. So starting out at the front, we have a Dead Air Mask HD. This is a 22 suppressor that is probably the best 22 suppressor out there. It's light, it's small, it does the job. It's just direct thread, you can throw it on anything. I will say that the MP5 22 does not have a great barrel. It is a little skinny thing that kind of makes it a pain to mount a suppressor on. When you buy the rifle version, it comes with this like fake suppressor covering. You can take that off, cut it, and then a bunch of different people out there throw an adapter on to make it 1/2x28 compatible, so you can use a normal can. Plus, it also makes it hearing safe. I don't have any hearing protection on, and that was totally fine. Now coming back from there, we have the flashlight handguard. I just put this on here for the vibe. It does work, but it is like an airsoft version or something. So the quality is meh, but it's a 22. So airsoft stuff is pretty much fine for 22 stuff. You're not really gonna be like giving it the SCAR recoil impulse of a 308 or anything. This is very much like one-handed. Coming back from there, we have a Picatinny rail adapter with a Trijicon MRO, which is totally fine for a 22. Red dots are super useful for new shooters because telling them to line up your front sight and the rear sight and cut your target in half and explaining the different types of iron sights to a new shooter can be kind of confusing, whereas put the dot on what you want to shoot is pretty much universally understood. Highly recommend red dot sights, and getting the mount high enough to clear this little cover for the front sight is pretty important for an MP5 platform. I really hate these like low profile red dots that try and maintain the use of the iron sights. This platform does not lend itself to that. Just get it up, get out of the way of this obtrusive front sight, and height over bore is not really an issue. Moving back from here, we have the collapsing stock. One thing that does kind of suck about this particular gun is that this is not the standard pattern receiver. You have the whole G3 family, the 308, the 9mm, all the different clones and all that. And then you have the 22 over here in its own little universe. So these stocks will not work on an MP5, and an MP5 stock will not work on the 22 version. When you're actually shooting it, it's more of like a bottom of the chin rest because this dot is so high. But realistically, there's 2 points of contact. It's just your shoulder and hands. You're not really using your cheek at all. Just put the dot on the target and shoot. There's not very much recoil anyway. You're not gonna get into any problems with accuracy on this. And the stock on here is just a vibe, so I'm keeping it. Moving down, we have the magazines. Now on a scale from PMag to Pro Mag, I'd say these are solidly good magazines. And you have the little pull down tab, you have a see-through. I do not have any issues with the magazines. The magazines are fine, they work, they do everything they need to. The magazine release on this is pretty nice. You have both the paddle mag release and a push button. Of course, the paddle mag release is what everybody uses, but I guess it's nice that the push button is there. One more thing I don't like about this platform is the trigger housing. So the trigger itself is actually pretty good. There's a clear bit of take up and then a pretty crisp wall that breaks easy, and then a reasonable reset. Not a whole lot to complain about there. What I don't like about this is the actual housing that goes with this. It's not an MP5 housing, so you can't drop in your SEF trigger housing or if you pay 40 grand, you can't drop a registered transferable pack in here. You are stuck with their proprietary nonsense. And if somebody could make a AR fire control group that goes in the 22 version of the MP5, so you could run like a binary or a Geisley or a LaRue trigger in here, that would be really cool. But the trigger itself is totally fine. I just would like the ability to add a fun switch. One other thing, last round bolt hold open. Normal MP5 does not have the last round bolt hold open. This does. Now they didn't add any way to drop the bolt, so when you insert a new magazine, you just rack it, or you can pull it back up and do the classic HK slap, but it actually has a bolt hold open, which I think is kind of cool. And for an MP5 plinker, I think that's a good feature to have. Honestly, I wish the MP5 had that feature. Here we have our ballistic beam calculator, and we're gonna see how many inches of BBC 22 can take, starting off with mini mags and then going to standard velocity. Up first is mini mag. Oh, it got all over me. Ooh, that's the last one. It's still in there. You can see around the edge it like expanded it out. So for mini mag, we get about 8 inches of BBC. This is the standard velocity CCI 22. So the mini mags were hollow points, and it kind of expanded and blew up right away. The standard velocity is just ball around nose, and we can see we got a solid 14 inches of penetration, which I would say is the new standard BBC. And because we wouldn't want any beans to go to waste, we're gonna also hit it with some 300 blackout. So this is a real MP5 in the sense that it says HK on the side and its legal model is an MP5, but it's not actually made by HK. Back in the day, Walther and Umarex went around to all the companies and made 22 versions of iconic guns. They had an Uzi, they had a Colt AR, they also had an MP5. So this actually says HK on the side, and its model is MP5, but it's made by Umarex in Germany. Nowadays, HK got their hands back on it, and it's produced by HK USA. You go on HK's website, you can see they have a different model. They have the SD or the pistol version of this. Back in the day, getting this as a pistol was really kind of hard. You had to get the rifle version and then cut it down. If I was going to do this today, it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to buy the pistol and add a stock. Now, if you're in the market for a 22 MP5, there's really two options. There's the officially licensed HK version or the GSG one, and they actually got sued because they were so close to the MP5 trademark, but the GSG 22s are hot garbage. Avoid them like the plague. I've had them, they suck, they're Mall Ninja garbage. This is the version to get. Either get this one or the SD version if you want that. Hey, if you like these jackets or hats, you can go to theaftstore.com. All right, Christmas came a little bit early. I've got a full mag of red and green tracers. Santa seems to like me. We'll see how they do. That's awesome. You can really see them well at night. Hey, I wanted to take a moment and thank the channel members for Arms for Thought. I don't really have a Patreon or anything. If you want to directly support the channel, this is a great way to do it. You guys are awesome. Thanks again. You know how in video games when there's like a red barrel and you shoot it and it explodes? I've always wondered, like, what could they possibly be putting in all these barrels where they just explode when you shoot them? So today, We're gonna find out. I've got gasoline, diesel, and then a special spicy blend that we're gonna shoot with the full mag of tracers. We got a jug of diesel downrange. We'll see if it'll light. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Downrange, I've got a bottle of gasoline I siphoned out of my neighbor's Prius. Another full mag of tracers. We'll see if this does anything. There we go. All right, gasoline does the trick. Very good. Downrange, we have a special blend of herbs and spices. We'll see what this does. There we go. Wow, that one really spread out.
Breaking news, this explosive wildfire burning many homes to the ground and forcing thousands from their homes at this hour.
Last magazine. I'm burning through all my 22. The ammunition I like to use is the CCI standard velocity stuff. It's subsonic, and I think it's subsonic through all barrel lengths, but it's definitely subsonic through this. It sounds great. I haven't worn hearing protection all day today, and if I clap, it'll be louder than this gun going off. I actually really like the manual of arms for the MP5 series of rifles. Like when I take somebody to the range and teach them how to shoot, the MP5 lets me lock the bolt back. I can hand them the rifle and then just say, slap that thing down and you're good to go. And if they're like shooting for the first time, they have plenty of other things they have to think about. I don't want them to think about, is the gun gonna work? Or how do I use the gun? I want them to think about, keep it pointed in a safe direction and where's my trigger finger? And the MP5 series of platforms like the G3 or the 9mm MP5 or the 22 MP5 here is really good for that. I also like, with the suppressor, a lot of the perceived recoil of a gun comes from the noise. So if you hand somebody a suppressed 9mm like CZ Scorpion versus an unsuppressed Scorpion, new shooters are gonna say the unsuppressed one recoils more, where it might add a little bit of weight on the front with the can, but the practical recoil is not actually different. It's just less of a bang, so people don't get scared. It's like shooting a BB gun. Like, it's a great, dropped around. It's like shooting a BB gun. It's a great way to teach somebody the fundamentals of firearm, like safety and just the fundamentals of how to use a gun without the anxiety that comes with loud noises. As always, thanks for watching. Can you imagine if I did like the fingernail tapping on ASMR videos like that? Yeah, let me get it close to the mic. Is that what you want? Is that what you people want?